Dr. Kethvar's forearms trembled as he watched the human female manipulate the quantum resonance chamber with casual precision. The Zephyrian scientist had spent the better part of 3 decades mastering the delicate art of quantum field manipulation, and even then, his success rate barely reached 60%. The human, Sarah Chen, according to her identification matrix, had been introduced to the technology exactly 4 hours and 17 minutes ago. Impossible, Kethvar muttered in his native tongue, his translator failing to convey the full weight of his disbelief. The morning had begun routinely enough. The Galactic Scientific Consortium had finally approved humanity's application for advanced quantum manipulation training, despite significant opposition from several member species. The Zephyrians had been particularly vocal in their protests, arguing that humans lacked the necessary neural complexity for such sophisticated scientific pursuits. Their brains are too simple, Kethvar had argued before the council. Quantum field manipulation requires the simultaneous processing of 17 different mathematical matrices while maintaining perfect emotional equilibrium. Humans possess only one brain, and their emotional volatility is legendary. The council had overruled him, citing the Galactic Inclusion Accords. Now, watching Sarah work, Kethvar wondered if the universe itself was mocking his expertise. The quantum resonance chamber hummed with controlled energy as Sarah adjusted the field parameters. The device, roughly the size of a small room, contained a maze of crystalline conduits that channeled pure quantum energy into stable, manipulable fields. Most students required months just to understand the theoretical framework and years to achieve even basic competency. Sarah had requested the theory manuals at 800 hours. By 900, she was asking for practical demonstrations. At 1000 hours, she was making her first attempts at field manipulation. Now, as the chronometer approached 1200 hours, she was achieving resonance patterns that Kethvar had only seen performed by master-level practitioners. The key is treating it like music, Sarah explained to her bewildered instructor, her hands dancing across the control interface. Each quantum state has its own frequency, its own rhythm. You don't force harmony, you listen for where the natural resonances want to align, then guide them there. Kethvar's secondary brain processed this explanation, while his primary brain struggled with the implications. Music? Humans were approaching quantum mechanics through artistic metaform? It was absurd, unscientific, and yet the chamber achieved perfect resonance, its energy readings stabilizing at levels that should have been impossible for a novice. Sarah stepped back, brushing a strand of dark hair from her forehead, and checked her timepiece. "Perfect timing," she said with a satisfied smile. "Lunch break in 10 minutes." Behind the observation window, a crowd of consortium scientists had gathered. Word of the humans' progress had spread quickly through the research station. Whispered conversations filled the air as species from across the galaxy watched in stunned silence. Dr. Yerixtal, a Centaurian physicist known for his rigid adherence to traditional learning protocols, finally broke the silence. "How?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Sarah looked up from the control panel, seemingly surprised by the attention. "How what?"
The Zephyrians trained for decades to achieve this level of competency. Our most gifted students require at minimum 2 standard years of intensive study. You've accomplished in hours what— Yerixtal's voice trailed off. Sarah shrugged, a peculiarly human gesture that had become familiar to the alien scientists over the past months of human integration. "I guess we just think about it differently. You're all trying to control the quantum fields, force them into the patterns you want. But they're not really random, they're just complex. If you listen carefully, you can hear what they want to do, then work with that instead of against it." She paused, then added with characteristic human understatement, "Plus, I've always been pretty good at picking up new things." As the lunch bell chimed through the station's corridors, Sarah gathered her notes and headed for the exit. Behind her, some of the galaxy's most brilliant minds stood in contemplative silence. forced to reconsider everything they thought they knew about learning, intelligence, and the peculiar species that had just joined their cosmic community. HFY remained at the observation window long after the others had departed, staring at the quantum chamber that still hummed with perfect resonance. Perhaps, he thought, there was more than one way to touch the universe's deepest secrets. The human had certainly proven that much by lunchtime.